I think we're way ahead where most people think we should be right now.
Well, you heard what Ben Cleveland said right there. I mean, this is a guy that's been in the program now for five. This will be his fifth year. I'm definitely very pleasantly, I'm definitely very pleasantly surprised where we've ended up so far. It's kind of difficult not having spring ball and stuff like that, but it put a lot of stress on us to learn this new system and to pick up everything in a shorter amount of time than we would have normally liked to have. I think our guys handled it extremely well. We've been progressing every single day, and then I think we're way ahead of where most people think we should be. I wonder if those people include Kirby Smart, Todd Monken, and Matt Luke. Dean Legge from Dog Post making you a smarter Georgia fan, and I don't know about the last part. I've been around long enough to know that kids say a lot of different things in the summer, and although we're in September, we've still not played a game. So for me, that's the summer, and I'm not sure I totally believe that. The proof will be in the pudding, and it'll be in the pudding here in a couple of weeks. Not just with the Arkansas game, but with the Auburn game, Tennessee, and then the Alabama game. And those games. Three of those four are going to be against extremely physical teams. If this were a different time with Arkansas, I would say they're physical too, but not on the level of certainly Auburn and Alabama. And for Ben, when they're going up ones on ones, this offensive line is going up against a very difficult front seven. Georgia's front seven is as good as there is in the country. Certainly Clemson looked good the other day, but Georgia's defense, generally speaking, and its front seven in particular, there's just no holes. The kids are not spectacular, but there just are no holes, and that's what makes them as a unit spectacular. And I just the thing about young players, there's always optimism in the summer, and you do. It's hard to know what to make of this. We've seen zero practices and guys hitting each other, that they release on social media. That doesn't really give you a lot of insight into what's going on. I do continue to hear that the run game has been very good for Georgia, comparatively speaking. I'm assuming that means the ones. I don't know. So when Ben says something like that, I think it's always good to be skeptical. I don't think it's always good to be negative, but I do think it's good to be skeptical. Now, with the skepticism in mind, you do have a fair amount of players that are returning that have starting experience. Whether you're talking about Ben, Justin Schaefer, Jamari, Trey Hill, Erickson, Condon, those guys, not Condon, excuse me. I don't think Condon started in the Sugar Bowl. I can't remember. But Condon is definitely in the mix at tackle. So your problem is you're replacing two NFL level starting tackles. That's problematic. I mean, they're going to probably start in the NFL, and they played for you as your starting tackles last year. So Georgia figuring this out right now is I'm not sure that's happened yet. Now, he didn't say that. He said, I think we're way ahead of where most people think we should be. And the question is, what's Ben's view of where people think Georgia should be? They did not play well offensively last year. And a lot of that, the offensive line didn't do its part the way I thought it would. I thought they would be dominant. I thought that they could run whenever they wanted to. And as it turns out, that just is not what happened. And whenever you look at a situation like that, you're losing two tackles the way that they have to the NFL as starters probably in the NFL. It's hard to see how they'd be better. The one thing to remember here is that you're talking about a different scheme and you're talking about a different offensive coordinator. And that may be a problem in terms of apples to oranges here. I mean, we're not dealing apples to apples. What happened last year is not what's going to happen this year. And I think the change in the offense is going to matter. When you start thinking about that this offense could have a running quarterback dynamic to it, or that it could have, and this certainly will happen, or that it very well could have a situation where the passing game is much more difficult to deal with for the opponent than it was last year, that opens up a lot of things, and it makes the offensive line's job, I would say, much easier. So, Ben's been around for a while, and he understands, I think, that the offensive line is extremely important. There are parts here that are good parts. I mean, I didn't even mention Broderick Jones or Tate Ratledge, who both could play meaningful downs this year. So Sam Pittman didn't exactly leave it bare, okay, at Georgia. He got 15 scholarship kids, the likes of which 6 have played, I would call it significant downs at Georgia, if not starting. But you've got a lot of starters. You've got your left tackle with Jamari. You've got your right guard with Ben. You've got your you got your center with Trey Hill. And then you have to fill the spots in from there. Where does Warren Erickson play? Is he a center and Trey Hill is another guard at left guard? Or do you leave Trey at center and Warren is your left guard? Where does Justin Schaefer? So you've got a lot of moving parts here. You've got a lot of guys that can deal with this situation. The question is, can they deal with what they're going to be dealing with in the SEC? And all bets are off as soon as the other team has on a different jersey and they're on the field. And the offensive line deals with the brunt of that because that's where you win or lose games. And the reality is this offensive line is going to have to play way better than it did a season ago in order to win the SEC championship and beyond. Because the defenses that they're going to have to deal with, when you look at, Clemson put a marker out there. Their defense looked pretty good to me. Now, I know they were dealing with Wake Forest, and you can dismiss that all you want to, but you play who you play and you look how you look. And they look dominant. They're going to be good. If you have to deal with Clemson, your offensive line better be ready for that defensive line. Is this Georgia team ready for that? Are they ready for Alabama? We're about to see. All right, check out this video here of Brock Vandagriff. Really good highlights from his first game. A little preview of what he'll bring to Georgia in a couple years.